one place I can start this special edition of the Talking Crab podcast. That zip is the old Fred Perry getting pulled up as I walk out the front door because I'm off to see, not the wizard, but he's sort of a wizard, but not the pinball wizard. So you'll probably heard of a band called The Jam. They were one of my favourites when I was growing up. Musically, I was into sort of mod music was my thing really, and anything else was highlighted by anything I stole from my sister's record collection. Thanks, Lois, for the love of terrible 80s pop. But I was a mod, so I was into Madness, The Specials and The Jam. So Bruce Foxton, one of the three original members of The Jam, is now part of a band called From The Jam. So it's himself and Russell Hastings, basically, who sounds a lot like Paul Weller, has his own little touch to it as well. And they do versions of the original songs, and they also write their own songs as well, and they're just about to release a brand new album called The Butterfly Effect. So anyway, long story short, I know it's too late already, but it's only the start of a podcast and it will get better from here on. A friend of mine, John Tyrrell, who organises concerts, music concerts, all sorts of stuff, really good stuff, sometimes involving football. This is all about the music tonight. So at Lowther Pavilion, which is on the Fylde Coast, From The Jam are performing tonight, and because JT's a bit of a ledge, he said, would I like to go and interview the two gents as part of this podcast series? So it's a special podcast, this one. It's myself. I'm really excited about meeting Bruce and Russell, who sounds like a really good guy. And he's not been well, actually. He's not long recovered from a heart attack. So I think the first most important question, apart from going, oh my God, you're Bruce Foxton, there's a kid, I loved you, I still love you. And look, I've got Fred Perry on the... will be, Russell, how are you? I'm sure he's well, because he's out and about. And they've just been in the recording studio, as I said. New album. Oh, I'm getting giddy now. Right, I'm going to put my seatbelt on and I'm going to head off. Welcome to a very special edition. I'm too excited to even put my seatbelt on. Welcome to a very special edition of the Talking Crab podcast. This is the one with From The Jam. There's 1,000 things I want to say to you. If you don't mind, I'll start with an important question, I suppose, in terms of it's the first time that I've seen or heard you since the news that you'd had the heart attack on stage. So most importantly, I suppose, is how are you right now?
I'm very good, thanks. Yeah, I am. Happy to say that I'm feeling a lot better, feeling back to normal, whatever normal is. But yeah, I'm feeling good. Yeah, really good, thanks.
Good, and looking healthy as
well. It's nice of you to say so. See that?
And I've got to ask you how you are, obviously.
Cloudy Surrey, I'm ashen.
He hasn't got the money, though. I live in Sussex and Eatham, Surrey, you see. You don't have the wealth.
I've just enjoyed listening there to...
What can you say to that?
I've just ignored
I just don't flaunt it. I don't want everybody knowing that I'm loaded. Oh, I've said it now.
On the Fylde Coast, here in Lytham. Have you been here before?
Yeah.
And what do you think of it?
Well, it's pretty wet.
It is today.
It's pretty miserable. Today, yeah. But we're being well looked after by John here. Nice hotel. Looking forward to the gig. But yeah, we haven't been sightseeing, put it that way.
No, there's a beach.
It's really pretty round here, I've got to be honest. You know, when we drove in last night, went up to a little shop around the corner, and I was really impressed by all the flowers out everywhere, and everywhere's clean, and you really notice it. You know, it's sort of really, you can get that. It's almost like a little bit like going to Noosa Heads in Australia, if you've ever been there. Have you ever been there, Bruce?
No. What, on your boat, is it?
It is. It's really well looked after. I love the area, and I know that Les Dawson used to come from this area.
He did, yes. He used to live around here, and there's a Bobby Ball statue that's just gone up, if you remember Bobby Ball.
Absolutely.
Yes, that went up a few weeks ago.
Oh, good, yeah.
How far down is that then?
It's literally, you come out of these doors and it's just over there, so you'll see it on your way out later on. It's brand new. It's brand new.
Yeah, I think I saw something online actually a few weeks ago, the unveiling of it, because his partner was down there on the unveiling. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Musically, I've just been listening to you going through 45 Beatles at one point as well. I thought you were going to launch into that.
Sure, unbeknown to me, I think we're just in a happy mood today, which is quite good. And so it always comes out musically when we're playing. So we were playing a lot of stuff then off the new album, which comes out on October the 28th. which is great, that we've recorded, and we haven't played since we've recorded, actually. So, so it shows.
I've heard Lula. Obviously, my eldest daughter's, we call her Lula as well. That's her nickname. So I'm looking forward to hearing that. Are you going to be doing any other stuff tonight?
Is it?
Well, it's Tallulah. So we call her Lula. Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I've heard that one, but I've not heard any others yet.
We're only going to play Lula tonight.
We're working the others in, like Russ said. You know, we haven't really played them since we finished recording.
Yeah.
So but we will get a couple. We don't want to flood it with all new material and then hardly any jam songs. That's the wrong way to go about things, I think.
And I think this is, well, I mean, anniversaries I'm sure would come up as far as the jam is concerned all the time. I think it's 40 years since the last single was released, 45 since Mark the first one as well. And isn't it lovely that, I know, sorry.
We're still standing, really, isn't it?
But isn't it great that we're all still talking, and my 5-year-old daughter loves listening to your stuff.
There you go, it's a new generation. You know, I think the songs have stood the test of time, basically. They're great songs.
What do you two like listening to now? Do you listen to modern stuff? Yeah. Do you like listen to you still? You're allowed. You've got a new album coming out.
Yeah. Go around there, he's got himself on, you know.
Yeah. I can't help it.
To be honest, we were talking about, we did an interview, we did several this morning actually, but we were talking about that, and because we're driving around a 2008 Mercedes that doesn't have digital, you know, so it's like wind the clock on it, you know, and you can get all the sad stations, like, you know, Radio 2. I call it the sad stations because it's sad because they don't really have any new music on there. And I'm going to say this now because we're experiencing trying to get playlists on radios, and we pay people large sums of money to do it for us, and that's not a shamey thing because that's how it's always been. And you just can't get a playlist nowadays. You know, a record company said to us, you know, don't even waste your money trying to try, because they're going into BBC Radio 1's playlist and nicking that, and I think musically it's a sad time, because you think, well, how do people make money when the music business is so difficult to hear new music and no TV shows? I mean, our country used to be the best for musical TV shows. We don't have any, do we?
No, I mean, Top of the Pops was always one of them, wasn't it?
Yeah, you had Jules Holland, you had The Tube, you had loads of things that used to unfold music to the rest of the world, you know, or to the country, you know. And it's sad when we don't have that.
And as you say, if it's an FM radio, you can on digitally. You've got 6 music, I suppose. It's the nearest to it, and then it's you download and you're streaming stuff. Then, aren't you?
Yeah, it's very difficult to to get a playlist. We've had people were reporting last night there were some playlists going around the UK in some independent stations. But, you know, I've tried to nobble a couple of well-known DJs, you know, and they've gone, forget it. All we do is just press the press button. You know, we just hit press forward, and that's it, and that we're fed it, you know.
Yeah, the days of the A's, B's and C's.
Yeah, they're gone.
Greatest hits from whatever they get told to play now, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I don't know, and knowingly how much stuff costs to a studio album, we see the bills. And you think, well, we haven't been, extravagant with it. We've been really good with it, and we're very good with time, studio time, so we're well rehearsed before we go in. So I don't know how people make that. It will change within time. It for sure will change. I hope so anyway. Otherwise, new music dies,
How did it feel going back into the studio?
Really good. Yeah, a relief as well, because obviously it was COVID, and so we had to wait until we'd all drive down to the studio independently with test kits ready, test yourself, wait for however long, a couple of minutes, it ain't going to go down to the red zone or whatever, and then come in the studio and get going. So it was like a sense of relief, an outpouring. Once we actually got in the studio, it was a pleasure. And
were the songs written during COVID or coming out of COVID? How did that work?
During and coming out of it, really, because we were talking this morning and saying that we'd had a collection of songs pretty much done, and then as the lockdown unlocked, we were ready to go in the studio, and then things were starting to evolve, because we looked in the can and went, well, there's 4 or 5 great songs there. Well, let's start working on songs. So you just get on a roll, really. That's what happens, is you get on a roll.
And is that the butterfly effect? Is it sort of the coming out of the darkness?
The butterfly effect is it's about influences. In short, that's what it actually means. It's just influences over the time and like influences on Bruce with Dr. Feelgood, because I'm going to say it now. You listen to Dr. Feelgood and then you listen to the Sex Pistols, you've got the Jam. That's what you've got. It's a mixture of.
Yeah,
it's true, Bruce, isn't it?
Not a bad comparison.
So I remember Bruce was always telling me when you went to see him, Feelgood in '74 down at Guildford.
Yeah, a place called the Gin Mill.
Yeah, we go past it a lot.
Two bottles of Newcastle Brown was anybody's.
Great.
And you've got 2 big bottles of Peroni now.
Yeah, no, don't go near there.
Not just yet.
Do you still get influenced by? I know we were talking about modern music and when it's there, and does it still or do you listen to maybe find old stuff that then reminds you?
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing, is it?
No, I don't. Do you know what?
Anyway.
I don't think it is. There's people going, "Oh, you've got to move forward. You've got to move forward." Well, you have got to move forward with new songs and that, but then you've got to move forward, and then there's somebody telling me that in a 1962 top. It's like, well, what are you talking about, mate? Didn't you realise that top's from 1962? And I sort of, I think people say that to get effect from it or think it sounds intelligent. Because I only know from my past experiences, and my past experiences for me are what told me what to do and what not to do. That's how I learn. That's how a child learns to walk. It falls over and it learns and it gets up and it walks. So it learns off its past experiences, and I think we all need to do that. And I think the problem becomes is when you forget about your past experiences and keep doing the same crazy stuff. And you get nowhere in life. And I think without trying to be too philosophical about it, it's that's how I see it, really. So I don't think that the past is a bad thing whatsoever. Especially with influence musically, I think it's a great thing to call on. Some of that soul music. Somebody said this morning, it sounds very sort of a soul funk track, and we went, great, does it? Brilliant. It's what we like.
And do you ever sort of revisit stuff and then be reminded of stuff that sort of open new doors for you? Like if you, as you say, they'd listen to stuff that yourself that you've thought, oh, actually that sparked something off, or does it not work like that?
I think, to be honest, we never really think too much about it. We just go in and go, this is something that we work on something. So we never ever, and I can honestly say this, I've never consciously been aware of trying to make something sound like something or trying to go down an avenue.
More inspired by it, obviously.
It's only when somebody says, I go, oh yeah, I suppose you're right there. Maybe it does. We were jokingly when I started playing that. Actually, I was playing an Elvis track when Bruce said, that Beatles track. And that was when they'd been round to Elvis.
Because it sounded like You Got a Feeling, was it, that you started?
That's right, yeah. But it's actually caught in a trap. But it's caught in a trap by Elvis Presley. And so the Beatles had been round to Elvis's house, and they were hanging out, taking a load of drugs. That's what they were doing that night. And they were playing that, and then they came away and went, okay, that's the route they went down. It's the same as, and like Paul always says about Start and Taxman, Paul says, I wasn't trying to kid anybody. It's not like I was trying to kid anybody, and I really like that honesty with it. It's an influence, and
well, like the bass line
yeah.
was obviously quite an influence for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were in America and listening to Revolver, so it probably went in subconsciously,
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that, is there?
I don't think so.
No, absolutely not. No.
And that's coming out again. That's just been remastered.
It's
about to come out again, isn't it? Yeah.
He's the son. Is it Giles Martin? He's done a mix of it. I'd love to hear it because I heard what George Martin, Sir George, did prior to his death, and he did some beautiful stuff. Mikey played it. Our drummer Mikey played it to us on the way to a gig, and went, "Wow, what's this?" And it was just a remix of a load of stuff, I thought it's fantastic to listen to. Love it.
Just finally, because I know I've taken up too much of your time anyway, but it's genuinely appreciated. I've really enjoyed talking to you. So, without getting too far ahead, the new album's coming out. Is that while we've been talking about inspiration?
October the 28th. That comes out
of this month.
October. Yeah.
And can we buy that physically this month as well?
Physically out on October the 28th from all the normal outlets and Amazon, and it can be downloaded online from Townsend Music or Absolute. So it's in different formats. It's in red vinyl, blue vinyl, black vinyl, CD, download, all the...
Well done.
Still got it.
I'll buy one. I'm
Done this
excited.
before.
And you're still on tour as well.
We are, yeah.
We're never off, really.
Yeah.
It just goes on and on, but we love it.
You
Yeah,
wouldn't do it if you
we're
would you?
on the road really up right the way through till Christmas. Just before Christmas, we finish in London at the O2, and then we move down to in January, and then we go off on holiday for a little bit, and then we come back. No, we're going to we go off to the sun, to the Caribbean, man, and we go there for a little while and come back, and we go right the way through till late May, and then we start festivals again.
Well, it's been a joy for me to see you
No,
as well.
thank
Thank
you
you so
very
much
much.
for your time. We genuinely appreciate
nice
it.
one. Thanks.
Thank you.
pleasure.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Russell.
that.
Thanks, Bruce. Well, what a fantastic night that was. Really enjoyed seeing them in concert. Loved talking to both Bruce and Russell, who seem like great guys and very patient given the amount of interviews they've probably done over the years. They were quite patient, and no, I really enjoyed it. I was a bit nervous. Well, you could probably tell I was nervous beforehand, just in terms of, never meeting your heroes is something I've always said, but always having an open mind in terms of what they may or may not be like, in terms of you can catch them on the wrong day sometimes. But these two were gents. They were brilliant. Really enjoyed the concert. The best part of the concert was John had basically given me an all. I could have gone anywhere I wanted to, but I never liked to take the mickey with that. So I just went in and just stood to the side and watched everybody, because that sometimes makes the concerts as well. You can go to a concert and the band could be playing brilliantly, but unless everybody gets into it, it doesn't always come across. But there were three blokes I were watching who were sort of nearish the front. Three of them older than me. And obviously I'm 27, so whatever you want from there. They were probably in the 50s, I would say. But you just knew they grew up listening to the Jam. And they were like little boys. They were all hugging each other and jumping over each other and laughing. And you could see it just took them back to their teenage years. It was brilliant. Really good night. I really enjoyed it. Thanks, JT, for doing that. Thank you to Russell and Bruce as well for being consummate host as well. A really great concert. As I said, the album is out soon. As soon as I get in through the doors, I will be ordering it, and so should you. Anyway, that's it. Clunk click every trip. Seatbelt on. That was brilliant. Thank you as always. Like and subscribe and turn on your notifications. I will surely do another one of these. Thank you for listening to the Talking Crab podcast special with, I will say, my new friends now. They will never remember me, but from our mates from the Jam.